Welcome to Self-Perfected.
It's
Christine, you can intro us.
Hey, everybody. We are back with another episode. We got Rad Dad with us.
Rad Dad, never bad. Actually, sometimes making you mad.
Go take a bath.
Drake, what's your nickname?
I'm Drake. That is the name. It's
Pastor
just
Drake. Pastor Drake.
Giving you the real.
Leaving the sheep in the streets.
Ooh.
Oh, wait, what was yours?
What? What?
Or you can be Drake, like Seal, no last name. It's just one. You just have one name.
Yeah, I'm D Drake. That's it.
That's kind of a problem though, because there's another person saying that's used that
What?
already.
No,
Isn't there?
No,
I'm pretty sure.
Hmm?
Might not be. My intro for you was freaking the sheets, leading the sheep in the streets.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that.
Because that was Pastor Drake. That's why I was. Anyways.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I can't argue with that. That's nice. That's fun. And then Sea God, the Holy Spirit.
Always with
He
us.
hath risen like my sourdough this week.
Wow.
Piece of that bread be upon you. This is my bread. Take it and eat it.
That's good.
Looking forward to some Holy Communion on that sourdough.
I like that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's good.
Man. So
speaking of crazy talk, yeah. This week in the same
in the insane world that we live in, it's interesting because the world is obviously getting more insane. More people are like being aware of it, but what are they doing? Oh, okay. I was just having this thought over the weekend, and it was just that, just like, because I think it was because last night we went to see that opera, and it's set in, it's Hansel and Gretel. It was set in like the woods in whatever time that was, but obviously previous to our technology today, right? And the opening scene was really interesting.
We still have woods, right?
Wait, what?
There's still woods.
No, that's like,
you're like back when they had trees.
Dude, climate change. We don't have woods anymore.
Oh yeah, true. They should do a Hansel and Gretel like that. And it's like the oven is just like outside.
Is the world it's climate change, it's greenhouse gases.
It's California when they're going through what's that called?
Yeah.
Like
the drought.
The drought.
or one of their forest fires.
Hansel and Greta Van Thunberg.
Ooh.
Oh that would have been good.
Yes. And she's like, how dare you? You get in the oven.
Yeah. All of us get in the oven.
Come on.
Is she
We
German?
will share the oven together.
I think she's not German, is she?
I don't think she's German, but but she does have that kind of accent. So anyway, I was looking at the opening scene. The opening scene is like these kids playing or whatever, and I'm paraphrasing because it's an opera and I couldn't understand every word, but the mom comes out and she's like basically upset at the kids playing and not working, and she sends them out into the woods so that they can go collect food for them to eat. And she's like, if you don't, then I'll beat you. And basically she was a terrible mother, but I was looking at that and going, how many of these people think that's normal, maybe unfortunate, but normal, right? And they're like, yeah, well, that's how mothers can be sometimes, and that's just how it is. And then I was thinking, like, that's been going on. That same pattern has been going on for eons, right? And people always think, oh, it'll get better with time. Life gets better. Look at all the new technologies that we have. Look at how much better our lives have gotten. We don't have to go outside and pick berries for food.
People
and
act
all
like
that.
we're at the apex of evolution and like
right.
everything's so much better than it was.
But the reality is like, okay, we have all these technologies, but we're still the same. We're still assholes. We're still like those.
Well, you know Jordan Peterson, like he and another person, I can't remember who, they're out, not so much lately, but like in the relatively near past, they were always like, people act like everything's getting worse, but they'd be like, but actually things are better. There's less poverty. There's and they would always post all this stuff, right? But I'm like, yeah,
Right.
but now all they do is complain about all the negative shit that's happening in the world.
Right.
So like that was just some fake bullshit,
Right. Right. Exactly.
Anyways, yeah.
Also, that's not
Exactly.
even accurate. There is more poverty. There is more inequality, actually.
But if you take the inverse square of the integral of the poverty index and you add to that the delineator of the you get less fractional. If you add all the rich people together and divide by 7 billion, people are richer than ever.
That's
So
actually
less poverty.
that's really close to how Biden does his math on unemployment. He's just like, there's billions of people working, man.
You know how people do the napkin, napkin calculations? I forget what they call
on the
that.
back of a napkin.
Yeah, he does it on the back of like an adult diaper.
His diaper is I can't see the tag right now, but I know it's there. I did the calculations.
And he forgot to wear it.
Sir, why do you smell like that? But yeah, so I wanted to bring that up because that's basically the hope and faith that people put into just like this idea that we're always getting better. But that's actually, if you look at it, that's been the progression. We have better technologies, sure, and some people don't have to live that way anymore. But the vast majority of people are still living that way, still, like actually. And the people who have upgraded, in quotation marks, to having the technology and all of that are still internally within themselves very much the same as the same people who are like yelling at their kids and still like, they're not changed. They're not actually considering the consequence of what they're doing or really considering the world or what's best or any of that. And that's
Hansel
really
and Gretel's an interesting story because like, okay, so the pattern is the mother wants the kids to go work, right? So she sends them out there, and then I don't remember the whole story, but like basically some witch, they find her little candy house, right? So
she eats children.
Sending the kids off to work now is like sending them off to school because the whole point of that is so they can get a job, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were to ask parents and they were being honest and you said, why do your kids go to school? Is it because so they can become as educated as possible, or is it so they can get a job when they grow up?
They would tell you so they could become educated, obviously. And yeah, I want them to have
but
a
if
job.
they were being honest,
because they want them to have a job.
The secure job.
Because what if you sold to somebody like, I don't care if my kid has a job?
Well,
that's not important to me.
What is important?
I just want them to be really highly educated.
Well, that should be easy.
So that's why I don't put them in school.
Yeah. Well, then perfect.
But then somebody would be like, well, but then what happens if they grow up and they can't get a job? I'm like, I don't care if they can get a job.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like parents are just justify, like, I just want my kid to do something. Like he just needs to pick something. And I'm like, that's literally what my mom.
As long as it makes you happy.
Yeah. It said to like my brother, for example, who was like struggled in the school system, and it didn't work for him because he just wasn't fitting in that box that that they want kids to be able to at least like progress through school. So it was like by the time he was done, it was just like, I just want you to do something, pick something so that I know you're secure and you have a job. And I mean, like now he does carpentry, which is cool, but like that's kind of like where parents get to. It's like they shoot for, well, I hope you get educated and get a job. Or if the school system like failed you, then I just want you to like be able to survive.
It's all within the same band of survival, right? It's all within the same band of survival.
Sounds like a cool name though. I bet there's a band called that.
The global band survival.
It's actually a really big band. There's like about a little bit over 7 billion people in the.
Oh, you said big band. I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
If I had a band, it would be like set up like a big band, but it would all be like guitars and drummers and stuff like in like rows.
How many drummers do you need?
That's what I'm saying. How many trombones do you need?
No, a lot. They sound good together when you have a lot. It's like a chorus. You
Right,
know,
drums are
how
the
many
same.
voices do you need in a chorus? The more that you have, the better it sounds. It's
All
like,
the best bands have 2 drummers.
is that so? Name 3. Go.
Let me think for a second. I'm just thinking. Man, I know there's one. Let me just think for one more second.
No Googling.
What was it?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, Allman Brothers Band.
Oh, come on.
Trying to remember another one.
Do you know how like not climate friendly almonds are?
Yeah, seriously.
They're
Um,
worse than the cows.
Yeah.
So
So
to climate change.
yes. Yes. No transition there. Okay.
But the pattern of
froze for a second.
but the pattern I was talking about of Greta or not Greta, Hansel and
Greta
Gretel.
Thunberg and Hansel.
Hansel and Greta.
Yes.
So the parent puts the kid in school, that's sending him off to work, right?
Mhm.
And then while they're out there lost in the woods, right? They see some attractive rainbow colored candy like structures,
Disney.
which is Disney
And LGBT
and all that stuff,
plus
right? And then like
IA.
Rainbow flags.
the witch who
The
uses
drag queen.
magic.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Oh shit. This is getting really clear. If you had not listened to the last episode, you should go listen to that one, and then proceed at this one.
How can they listen to the last episode?
What do you mean? How can
They
they
haven't
listen
done it
to
yet. It's in the future.
No, what?
All right. So
What?
look, I'm sorry. Okay. I've been spending a lot more time with Caius, so it's like extra dad jokes today. So
That's so stupid.
yeah.
Hey,
You're welcome,
continue.
everybody. Oh, I mean, that's it. Like, but I brought it up because as you were bringing that point up, it's like, how much have we changed? Why does that story still resonate with people? You know, because like you made this point of like, oh, it's like back then, like they're in the woods, like old technology, like cottages and shit, and like, but the pattern still exists.
Right.
It's like literally they just have fancier ovens. That's it. You know what I mean? Like that's it.
Literally.
Dude,
True.
Same shit.
dude, it's crazy because that story is basically about consuming children, right? For
Magical.
yeah, for
rituals.
magic, for pleasure, for like you give.
Why
you
does
give
the
the
witch
children
want the
magic
children?
to
Did they
eat them.
explain that?
To eat them.
But
That's basically like the whole
Because
that's it.
story.
Children
though.
are sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
she's got a whole house full of candy.
Made of children, apparently. I don't know.
It's
Like, think of how much
folklore.
effort it took to build that house. And like, she's like, oh, I gotta wait till some children come here.
Why do people like veal? Okay.
It's a candy trap for children. She's a witch. She uses magic. It's a candy trap. She wants to eat children. Like that is literally our modern day media.
I was gonna say, and
industrial
isn't
complex.
it like the like the elite like conspiracy theory that like they eat children? You know what I mean? Like, well, not eat,
And it
but
was
they
the
like
irresponsibility of the parents.
sacrifice children.
Yeah.
And then the whole
But-
story is that the child has to be the one that like solves the problem.
Right. Also,
Inner child.
mm,
The child that is born again.
also in this story, it was they had to go out and forage for food because they were poor. So it's
Child
like
poverty.
there you go. So
Still
the
exists.
poverty, yeah, the poverty sets up the equation for these people have to go out and put themselves in that position. And then it allows for a witch with magic powers to take advantage of that situation and lure them in.
I just thought of this funny thing that happened last night. Like we went out to eat in town, and there was this guy walking. We were outside walking down the street. And we were walking. Okay, so we're walking down the sidewalk. This guy's coming like to go into a restaurant, right? And there's these benches outside. Max, and Max goes, "Look at that little bench." But it sounded like little bitch. And I go, oh yeah, that's a nice bench. You want to go sit on it, like purposely? Because the guy like looked.
Look at that little bitch.
So I was like purposely like, oh yeah, that is a nice bench, Max. We should go sit on it. You want to?
Emphasis
God.
on the Ben.
He was like, look at that little bitch. Anyways, it made me think of that. It was so funny.
That's hilarious. Was this one of those guys? Because I've seen in your town a guy who looks really muscular and tattooed, and like it seems like the kind of guy who would take offense to being called
No.
a little bitch.
No.
Okay.
But there were randomly like 7 Ferraris parked outside the. Yeah, like when we went to dinner last night, we're like, what? It's like Katie was like, this town is so weird.
You know what that reminds me of? You remember that movie Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler? And at
I
the
didn't
end,
see it, but yeah.
okay, well, at the end, spoiler alert, he buys everybody a Ferrari in his little
Okay.
town. And
Okay.
so like literally the entire town is driving around in red Ferraris.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should do that.
You should do that. That'd be great. I mean, we'll come up for the week.
Or like if you come to visit, you get one.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
good. But yeah, you shared something this morning. Did you like how
Which
did you
one?
find that? The
Which part?
euthanasia stuff.
Oh, I was just looking for stuff on YouTube that we could talk about. Like, I kind of scrolled through it and then I saw this thing from.
Let's talk about that real quick because I think it ties in with the Hansel and Gretel point, and then we can jump to the.
Oh, I think it was the Tucker
Oh.
Carlson thing.
Yeah,
Hansel and Gretel is not for children, and neither is euthanasia.
There you go. There you go. That's the moral of the story right there. However, in Canada, apparently, they are saying that someone who is a minor,
Well, yeah,
at least it's written in the
they were
provisions of the law.
rewriting their codes around how doctors can recommend euthanasia and so forth, right? And then I looked through and I searched for it because they had mentioned this word mature minors, and they were putting that they need to do a review on. Actually, I sent it to you. Let me just look at it real quick. Where's my thing?
I did see it actually. It was like code something or
Because
other.
I didn't see the part where they're like, now we're legalizing it for children. You know what I mean? But so
Yeah.
there's a part where it's a little bit hyperbolic.
A comprehensive review
Yeah.
of the provisions of the criminal code relating to medical assistance in dying and their application, including but not limited to issues relating to mature minors, advanced requests, mental illness, the state of, I don't know that word
palliative
actually.
care. Yeah, palliative care. It's just like medical care.
Okay. In Canada, and the protection of Canadians with disabilities must be undertaken by joint committee of both houses of parliament.
So they want to do a parliamentary review of the criminal code relating to euthanasia for what they call mature minors.
And how are we defining mature?
That's what I want to
minor?
figure out. What do they mean by that?
Like, is a mature minor someone who's already transitioned? Because they
Yeah.
they were
Because
given-
obviously if they haven't transitioned, they're not mature yet.
they're not mature yet. Yeah, a mature minor is someone under the age of 18 who has transitioned and gotten all 4 of their boosters. And obviously they can make medical decisions for themselves because they made all
Here
those
it
medical
is. No,
decisions.
so they're
And
right.
you can't get a tattoo.
So
or buy the
here's what
lottery.
it's a Canadian doctrine. It's in the United States and Canada.
Mhm.
And it says the mature minor doctrine. It's a rule of law. Okay, like let me put it this way. Let's say your kid had like some. Actually, I was gonna say cancer, but that's a whole scam too. I don't know. Some like let's say their arm was cut like cut off and like they were bleeding to death, right? And the parents like, I don't want my child to be treated. But the child could be like, no, I want to be treated. I'm just giving an example. I don't know if that's an actual valid point, right? But the thing when I just looked up on Wikipedia says it's a rule of law that accepts that an unemancipated minor patient, so they're still under their parents' care, may possess the maturity to choose or reject a particular healthcare treatment, sometimes without the knowledge or agreement of parents, and should be permitted to do so. It's now generally considered a form of patient's rights. Formerly, the mature minor rule was largely seen as protecting healthcare providers from criminal and civil claims by parents of minors at least 15. They must have meant of at least 15. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Jurisdictions may codify an age of medical consent. Well, obviously, I mean, they could change whatever law where they're at. They could the actual age can be different. Alberta, it says children at 16 are generally considered capable of consent to medical procedures. In some cases, it's been applied as young as 14. So each one has their own. British Columbia does not set an age at which child becomes capable, but they must be capable of understanding the procedure and its risks in order to consent. So they don't have Saskatchewan and Yukon, medical procedures can be performed on any person capable of providing informed consent. So there's probably some law about what that requires. So Manitoba, 16 and 15 and younger are presumed to be incapable of consent, but this can be rebutted. So of course, BC has the most liberal version of it.
Wow. So that's interesting because it's obviously to protect the doctors from being sued from operating on minors who agree. And obviously it's like, we're not talking about like 6 or 7, but still 15 years old is a minor. 14 years old is still a minor. 16 years old is still a minor. And nobody would expect that a 16-year-old can make decisions like life-changing decisions for themselves like that.
I'm looking through all the different ones, right?
Yeah.
This is so, wait till you see this. Okay. So for the states, right? There's like different states that have some sort of mature minor laws, and they're different, like in Alabama, it says minors who are 14 years or older or who have graduated high school can consent to medical procedures. They don't have to evaluate their maturity. Parental consent is required for abortion, but can be bypassed. In Arkansas, there's no minimum age. It's just any minor is capable of informed consent, which probably has its own rules. So there's a lot like that. California, family code such and such permits minors to consent to immunization against sexually transmitted infections.
Okay.
Of course, California, right? Like there's different states, but like the only one that I can see that is specifically this one, because everything else is like New York, also sexually transmitted disease, same as California. What the hell?
Not
so there's a lot of them are like more general, but then Washington, D.C. Minors 12 and older may consent to immunization with CDC approved vaccines, even over parental objections.
Wow.
The law compels healthcare providers to seek payment directly from insurance companies without notifying parents. That's the only one I see. And then Washington State says mature minors may consent to medical procedures, including immunizations. But it's like Washington, D.C. is just like specifically CDC approved vaccines. It's so weird.
You remember when we were talking about like virtual reality, the first one, well, not the first time, but like early on.
One time. Okay.
One of those times. And we talked about how basically they're trying to get kids credit cards, and they're trying to put the kids in the virtual reality so they can spend the adults' money without the parental consent.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's this weird,
it's trying to
cannibalization.
Trying to normalize like children being more like adults.
Which we already had that. We already had that in the industrial period. They were going to work and everything, and you fucked it up.
They were already going to work in the woods and getting attracted to candy houses. I don't know why.
And then they made all these laws because like people were getting upset, and they're like, okay. But now they're like, okay, we can go back to that now. People are dumb enough. We can go back to just eating the children.
The modern Hansel and Gretel is putting your kids in school, and then they're on TikTok getting advertised all the transgender stuff. That would be like a modern Hansel and Gretel.
There you go. Yeah. And then you don't have children anymore. They're just consumed by the which equals the system. Yeah. That's a good podcast, guys. Good podcast.
Good stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and record the next one while we're here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what else can you say about? Oh no, but there's more to that story. Because I sent you this article, right, about this.
Oh, the 23-year-old.
Yeah, which it's like, I mean, he's an adult, so I don't understand the.
Yeah.
Not that it matters that
he's still very young. 23.
It's still very young, but yeah. So the whole point is still fucked. But like, oh, her child, you know, and it's like, well, he's 23. But the point was, the more specific point is not about the parental consent within it. It's just that. Here, let me pull it up because it's like, what the fuck? It says she's 46. She lives in Toronto. It's always Canada, man. She worries about her son, Keanu.
Reeves?
Keanu, Kiano. I mean, there's the first sign that you fucked up. He suffers from depression that stems from his diabetes.
Oh, okay.
A condition that worsened this summer, causing the loss of sight in one of his eyes.
Ooh, that sucks. Okay.
See, but you would not be allowed to say, like, all right, why does this guy have diabetes?
Yeah.
Let me, it says, Marcella's worries for her son's well-being led to her to do a little snooping with the help of her daughter, who had access to Kiana's Facebook and email accounts, right? Why didn't you do a little bit of snooping on? Is this guy watching porn all day, playing video games all day, drinking Pepsi Cola in your basement? Like, if you're 23 years old and you have diabetes so bad that your fucking eyes are deteriorating, what is going on there?
Yeah. That should be pretty obvious.
Okay. It was then that she learned, okay, so I was trying to make a joke, but it was then that she learned that her son had sought and been approved for medically assisted suicide. Part of Canada's medical assistance in dying law, also called MAID, M-A-I-D. Probably he was like, his room was so messy. He was like searching for a maid, and then he was like, oh, what's this? He's like, this will be way easier. Instead of dealing with a mess in my mind, I'll just kill myself. Discovering that her son had just about 2 weeks left to live before the procedure, she began to investigate. The next day, she called the doctor and pretended to be a prospective patient, describing her condition much like her son's. The doctor seemed accommodating, going so far as to offer a formal assessment, which could be conducted in person or over video conference.
Oh my God.
When another physician who performed MAID's procedures expressed surprise that this guy had been accepted based on diabetes, they organized a meeting. So the guy's depressed because he has diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that a person who's in a state where they can make the best common sense decision?
Well, he's
Absolutely.
depressed.
But the doctor's not like
Today's standard.
but the doctor's like this is interesting, because what is the whole gender affirming thing? It's not so much about the gender part, it's about just affirming how the patient feels.
Yeah. Whatever the
So it's like
patient
you're
says.
depressed, because
Yeah.
you know what it is? It's like they're like, you know how it's all come out lately, like, oh, the depression stuff doesn't work, the SSRIs, they don't actually work and all that. They're like, I guess there's no solution, just let them kill themselves. Like, really? That's the solution?
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. You know what's really crazy about that story is just a few days ago, you had posted on that person on Facebook. You'd posted basically.
Well, hold on, set it up properly.
Yeah, you set it up.
Fine.
Pass the ball back.
What?
It's like you're like
Hot
passing the
potato.
ball back and forth. You said
Well,
it
this
up, then you
person,
set it
I
up.
saw this person on Facebook that wrote, it was the day before, I feel like killing myself today. Thank you to everyone who made this possible. Have a nice life, everyone. All right. And all these comments where people like, hey, call a suicide hotline. Hey, it's okay. They'll get better. Like, not even asking what the fuck was going on.
Mhm.
So I could just see, I mean, that person just wants attention.
Right.
Clearly.
Because if you're going to kill yourself, actually, why would you post about it?
Right.
Right. And if it wasn't from the starting point of, I'm just trying to get back at somebody.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying you wouldn't necessarily post about it, but you're doing it obviously from the starting point of, I'm trying to make other people feel bad about it. So I just posted Bernard's blog that's suicide is never an act of self-hate. Because everyone thinking, oh, she feels so bad, that's why she's killing herself. It'll get better. It's okay. And it's like, that's not what it is. They're trying to suck you into their pity party, and then they want you to feel bad because you're to blame for it.
Mhm.
And so imagine the person, if this person did kill themselves, the person who is like now has racked with tremendous guilt because they feel like something they did, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I see this person posting all the time about, I think it's, yeah, I see her picture about these like pageants she does and all this stuff. And it's just all this bullshit, right? And then look, I don't know what happened in her life, maybe something bad. I don't know. But it's like, it doesn't really matter because it'd be one thing to say like, hey, I'm feeling really, really bad, so bad I can't like take it. And some really just shitty things have happened and I don't know how to deal with it. That'd be one thing. That'd be like a person who you would have empathy for. But the person who's like, wow, I really want to kill myself. Thank you to everyone who made this possible.
Like
Yeah,
angry
like,
and spiteful.
Who is everyone? Like literally everyone? What about yourself? Like what about everyone? The
Yeah.
whole world. So yeah, that's what we've been saying. The whole world is fucked. Like I've told my story before of when I was really super depressed like that. I mean, I didn't ever want to kill myself just because I thought it was a stupid idea. Also, I didn't have any feeling of revenge. Like that's why, like, even those anyone who's been like severely depressed, you've probably had that thought, but you never took it seriously within yourself because you're like, I mean, what's the point of that? You know what I mean? Like you just felt really bad. But I've noticed the people, I don't know everybody who's had suicidal thoughts, but a lot of times, unless it's like some sort of schizophrenic medicated sort of a thing, it's typically a person who is really manipulative, abusive, spiteful, and then they're using it to control other people's behavior. Like I've had close relatives, let's just say, that were like that, and they were never serious about doing it. It's just a manipulation tech. And I've had people I've known personally, other than those people, who have done that, and it's like just a manipulation tactic, right?
Mm.
I've known quite a few people who have done this, right? Who have in a lot of ways threatened it either to me or other people or whatever, just generally as a pattern, right? And it's like, so anyways, I posted that blog because I mean, what am I going to say to this person? Then the blame will just come on me. There's nothing that's going to say I can say to that person.
Right.
So I posted it for the benefit of other people to look at as to, and there's nothing I'm going to be able to type on there that's going to get people to think about it other than just argue. And then like the negative people come on and they just want to fight the point and say like, oh, you should be empathetic, but I'm not here to get into an argument. So I just posted that blog and maybe we can look at it for a moment.
Sure.
Do you guys have the blog post? Maybe you could pull it up.
I don't have it. But
Is it on Creation's Journey?
It is on Creations. Let's see. Creation's Journey to Life. Search.
Oh, here.
You found it?
Yeah.
You can share it if you want.
In the Facebook Live?
Yeah, suicide is
or do you
never
want
an
it?
act of self-hate.
Hey, it's kind of funny. Like on that article that I was reading about the euthanasia thing.
Mhm.
At the very bottom, there's like, it looks like an ad. No, it's not an ad. It's actually from this website. It's an ad, but for the website itself. And it said, the souls in purgatory need our prayer. We will take your intentions to the altar. Send us your intention. Click here. And then I'm like hovering over it. And it's like, it's not just like some ad. It's like to the website itself, mass intentions.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So it's like obviously some Christian website. Yeah, I see like Aletheia, Saint of the Day. It's like, looks like some Catholic something or other, right?
Yeah, but it's like,
okay. So that's why they're anti-euthanasia. So that, yeah. But that's why I didn't just read it and take it. I'm like, okay, let me actually go look at the law. Okay, it does say this thing about mature. There's two separate points. The article was about that 23-year-old, but then they mentioned the point about this new law. It's called Bill C7 about the mature minor thing, which I looked up, right?
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting though if you're like, euthanasia is unacceptable because it goes against God's will, and it's like, okay, does that have to be the reasoning? Like, can we just have like common sense reason?
Because they're afraid that if it's not God's will, then there is no reason to not just kill yourself. Because what's the purpose of being here? I don't know. I haven't thought.
What's funny is the original article that they were referencing was from a website called commonsense.news.
That's funny.
Wow.
But yeah, anyway, you didn't finish that point. The article, what happened to it? You posted this blog, right? And then
oh shit, hold on. Let me just add something real quick. I just realized I just, as I was scrolling through that other article I clicked on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to read this real quick before you go on. This is the Keanu guy, right?
Mhm.
He learned that his eyesight was only going to get worse. He decided he did want to die, in fact. Okay. I was so ready, he said. I was actually very looking forward to ending my pain and suffering. He hated not being able to see. The unhappiness was exhausting. He was arrested for assaulting his father. Dude, honestly, if I had been his lawyer, I would have been like, he just thought it was like a boxing bag. He couldn't see. And another time for indecent exposure. Again, he thought he was in the restroom, which he blamed on some hallucinogenic drugs he'd been microdosing. Okay, so you can see this is a person that's searching, right?
Yeah.
I try to do as much as I can. See, they're searching, right?
Mhm.
And hopefully in doing so, I might come across something or someone that would change my mind. He meant about dying, but his mind remained unchanged. He wanted to go. My thoughts are that I would be closer to God. Okay, so first of all, the idea that this is a potential solution wouldn't exist if he didn't have the delusion that there's a God.
Mm.
Keanu told me he was baffled by everything that had happened the past 3 weeks. His mother's social media campaign, Tepper's decision not to help him die. I didn't know what to say, Keanu said. If it's how she knows how to love me. Okay. Still, he was furious with her. I guess because she was interfering. He didn't know what came next, whether he'd find another doctor, because I guess they were like, we're not going to go through with this. We don't want to touch it because of all the negative publicity the mother created, right?
Yeah.
On Facebook, he posted a screenshot of a series of texts between him and his mom, which he has since deleted. This is the mom. Keanu, I love you. No, you don't, he wrote back. You were adding to my pain and suffering, and for that, I curse you. I love you, and I want to talk to you. After a moment, he texted back, you know what I need.
Milk.
Like the death, right? He could literally just kill himself. That's what's so weird about the thing. I mean,
It is.
don't do it. I'm just saying, like, he's so mad at his mom that she interfered with it, and he could literally. So where's like none of this makes any fucking sense.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
second of all, he's 23 years old. He's totally fucked. He's searching. That's why he's microdosing hallucinogenic drugs. I know what that's like. So the mom fucked up already.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I love you. Don't kill yourself. Why? Why is she saying that?
Because she's gonna feel guilty if he does.
That's it.
Yeah.
She's not, because she had 23 years to support him. And I'm not blaming her. It's just that's really what it comes down to, is don't do that, because then I will have to feel really bad about it. And saying I love you to manipulate the person.
Right.
What's like, but where was the actual love, the 23 years he's been alive already, to actually get support? And maybe he's very spiteful and fucked and like, and she did everything she could. I really doubt it. Because how would she know? Because he believes in God, so she clearly didn't direct that point effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just this is what most people would say is like, well, I believe in God, so I mean, of course, I'm gonna teach him to believe in God. Like, I'm doing
so then let him kill himself and be
the
closer
best
to
that
God.
I can. Well, then he's gonna end up in purgatory, or maybe hell.
Listen, but if you're in purgatory, what's the big deal?
You don't get to be with God.
Yeah, but eventually you will, right?
I don't know. You gotta wait a long time.
But you can send the intentions. Yeah, but when you're outside of Earth,
time doesn't
and
exist.
right, that was my exact reasoning. Is like, yeah, but they won't know. Then it'd be an instant. What's the big deal?
I don't know.
Also, hold on, wait for it. Isn't this purgatory then?
No, this is life.
If you
on
kill
Earth.
yourself, you're gonna go somewhere else where there's no God and have to wait for everybody else to figure it out. Like, okay, let's figure it out here. What the hell?
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
So yeah, you were gonna add
to wrap the point, because you didn't finish the point. It was like you
was it?
put this comment, you put this
yeah.
blog
Okay.
post,
Yeah.
right, for this Facebook post, and then
we were gonna look at the Facebook thing though real quick, or the post itself.
the post. Okay,
let's get some context, because
all right.
if you don't get the
says,
context, people just think like, oh well, why should you do that? Anyway,
suicide is never an act of self-hate. Suicide is always an act of hate, blame, and violence directed at another. Yes, suicide is the ultimate act of self-love. This psychology is yet to be understood, and suicide, the person that takes their own life, does it as an act of violence to force themselves upon another, to force themselves as an act of blame, as an act of finger pointing, as an act of saying, I'm doing it because of you. That's, for instance, even in suicide situations where a person goes and kills a group of people and then kill themselves, it remains an act of blame. It's done within the context of the back chat and the self-talk where they are so enthralled with their own opinions, their own ideas, and they've been thwarted and disregarded and not been recognized for who they are in their greatness, and therefore their love for themselves is not being honored according to them, and therefore they must get back at somebody. Suicide is never an act of self-hate. Such things do not exist in this world. Nobody truly hates themselves. They all only truly love themselves and use self-hate ideologies to cover up the real story. But there are also very little guts in most people to actually say, I'm doing it because I hate you. I hate you for not loving me. I hate you for not bending to my will. I hate you for not doing what I tell you to do. I hate you for not being my slave. There's more. But
So it is the master that tries to get back at the slave, getting the slave to submit in death. And in death, the ultimate act of trying to chain the person to guilt and remorse for eternity, so that you can have a slave for eternity. It is a fascinating, cruel thing to do. So those that threaten suicide, or those that commit okay, and just take a step back for a second. The guy has diabetes. That can be managed, right?
Mhm.
I say managed because that's the correct term, apparently, according to the correct think, right? But the reality is you can deal with it. If you actually were serious about it and you weren't fucking brainwashed and people actually like go on a fucking juice fast for like 60 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then also start reprogramming how you eat and why you eat and your starting point of eating, because the guy has diabetes. Even if it was a genetic point, it can be managed with insulin and so forth, right? But how many people do you know who try to manage their diabetes with insulin and still eat like fucking terrible?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when I say terribly,
worse.
yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I've heard of I've heard of kids, like 3-year-olds, going to the hospital, because I have a friend that works at a children's hospital, because their gallbladders are backed up because they're eating McDonald's like literally every day. But the parents like don't, and then the kid is so addicted to the McDonald's. It's like while they're in the hospital getting treated for the gallbladder issue or the stomach issues or whatever, they're still giving them McDonald's because they're so.
There's probably a McDonald's in the hospital.
Here, honey, I got you
Probably. I
McDonald's.
mean,
you seen
this
these?
hospital
I
is
mean,
downtown, so like
I've seen them like in when I lived in Houston, there'd be like a Burger King or some shit like that in the hospital. And you're like, so there's no way they're going to be like, don't eat stuff like that.
I got you McDonald's for being so brave.
Oh, okay. If you take your insulin shot, I'll give you another McFrosty. You know, so it's fucked. It's totally fucked, right? So, but my point is, you could take responsibility for it and sort it out. You know, and what was the point I was going to make about that? Hold on, let me go back to it real quick.
You can manage it. It's not being directed properly, but this solution.
But the other point was going to be the point about the eyes. I mean, that's obviously a consequence.
Yeah.
Right. It's gotten to a really severe point. So maybe he's going to go blind. You could say, like, can you imagine a person going like, look, he has diabetes. He's really depressed. He's going blind. Like as if I don't have empathy because I'm like, he shouldn't be allowed to kill himself.
Yeah. But there's just like no level of responsibility being taken at any level.
Right.
These are people
but I mean,
like
also, aren't there
in
people
the
who are like
system.
blind who like have pretty interesting lives?
They like they
I wouldn't
manage.
want to be blind, but there's people who are blind who still are alive. I mean, like Stevie Wonder, right? Isn't he blind?
Yeah.
He's one of those blind ones, right?
Yeah.
I was like, for a moment, I was like, or maybe he's deaf. I'm like, no, that wouldn't make sense.
How does he play the piano when he's deaf?
He's always like
so
trying to
good.
hear. Like,
Wasn't Beethoven deaf though, or something?
Was it
but he
Beethoven?
went deaf, I think.
Yeah. Was it Beethoven?
I thought it was Beethoven. He
That
used
was
to
the
create
story anyways.
symphonies. Oh.
Okay. But yeah, he went deaf, but he would put his ear close
Onto
to
the piano and he would bang on it. And I'm like,
yes.
that's obviously not true. That he would bang on the piano. Because like how anyways.
How would you know to do like crescendo and then play piano, you know? Like how would you
just a bang softer?
That's not true, because like you can feel the resonance of the piano going lighter and harder, like lighter and stronger.
But that is something you could just understand.
Right.
Why would you be like, oh, how much crescendo? Oh yeah, that much. Like you would, and then you write that down as like a little, like you would only put your ear if you're trying to hear the tone.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like the other, I want to hear the vibration. Like if you're just trying to feel the vibration, how does that help you write the music? Like, oh, here's where the violins should come in. Bang, 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 bang. Like what? Makes no sense.
maybe
But
he had
I gotta tell you, that part
synesthesia.
when I watched Mr. Holland's Opus really got me.
What is
Did you ever
that?
see that movie?
No, what is it?
Oh, okay.
What's it called?
Mr. Holland's Opus.
No.
You ever seen that movie?
I
It
don't
was
think
like this
anybody's ever seen it.
with a Veep, the Veep woman, her dad, Richard Dreyfuss,
Okay.
and he's like this old like composer who's like teaches high school orchestra or something.
Uh-huh.
He's telling this whole emotional story, and like he has a son that's deaf, so it's like really sad, right? Because he's a composer and all this, and he loves music and all this stuff, and
I couldn't
he's also
imagine.
having an affair with one of his students.
Hmm.
And anyway, so it's like this really sad thing. He's telling this story, and it sounds like he's talking about his kid, but then it's actually he's talking about Beethoven or something like that or whatever.
Okay.
But it's like showing the kid, and it's actually played by John Lennon's son, I think. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm a man full of trivia. Okay, so anyways,
Man filled with
we were-
trivialities. Just
Trivialities. we were talking about this. Oh yeah, but the point of like thinking that you don't have empathy with someone because you're not empathizing with the fact that they should feel justified in killing themselves.
It's like okay. It's like this. It's like you're playing. This is I don't want to trivialize it like this, but this is the analogy that I come up with. It's like you're playing a game and someone's like, this game's really fucking hard. I just want to quit. And then you're like, don't quit. Like you can get better at it. Like I know it's really hard. It's really tough, but like keep going. We can make it to the end together. But they're like, no, I just really want to quit. And then like someone else is just like, just let him quit. Just let him quit. Do you have no empathy? Come on, man. That's essentially like you're going through life.
What does empathy mean when somebody says you should have empathy?
Just acquiesce to their feelings.
But I mean, in what context is empathy valid?
Let's see. What is empathy really? Like if you actually had empathy, it would be like actually having unconditional love, which would mean that you're not just making the decision based on these conditions here and just like, well, that's just too bad for you. And, but I empathize with you. Like actual empathy is, okay, what conditions led to you getting here? And how do we prevent that from happening for other people?
Like imagine somebody who like is running an economy and a bunch of people are dying because of like inflation and they can't afford food. And they're just like, it's just what it is. They don't care. Okay. Versus like what you said, which is like, okay, how do we actually solve the problem? Because like, I understand their pain. Like if I was in their shoes, I would understand how they're feeling and what they're going through. What were you going to say, Christine?
I was just thinking like, okay, you said empathy, but empathy isn't it just basically like being able to understand or feel someone's emotions, right? That they're feeling. Whereas like compassion, I feel like what is happening, especially with like something like suicide, it's like you're showing someone compassion because you're kind of like acknowledging someone's misery, basically, but allowing them to stay within that misery. You're not actually like doing anything for them. Like compassion isn't actually something that's like good. It's actually like you're enabling the misery that this person is going through. Whereas like the principle of like give as you would like to receive, which is like, or even just like love as an action, it's like that's what you actually want to do, because it's like what would then be the kindness in this situation is like what Drake just said, actually giving them the tools or whatever the resources to fix their situation and get to the root of the problem, and not just like try to band-aid the solution or make this person feel better, because that's not like, especially in this person's case, it's like you have diabetes, you have all these different things, but you're clearly like lacking awareness and education on like what you can do about your situation.
Yeah.
It's
Compassion
like I
is
was
like,
just saying like all the different, sympathy, empathy, compassion, like they're all different to some degree, but which one is actually like taking that responsibility?
I'm pretty sure compassion, so the etymology of it says feeling of sorrow or deep tenderness for one who is suffering or experiencing misfortune, literally a suffering with another. So you suffer with them, which
Yeah.
is like the stupidest thing. If you actually consider it, it's like people talk about compassion, and I know they have an emotional understanding of that word, of just like, yeah, well, my heart goes out to you. Like, and they feel like they're being warm and comforting in some way, but it's literally to suffer with.
But the
another
game
person.
itself, actually, with any person who is self-honest, is you're feeling really bad right now, right?
Mhm.
I understand how that feels. And actually, I'm really grateful I'm not in that position. I'm not
Yes.
feeling that way. So it shows me to just be grateful for where I'm at, even
Yeah.
though where I'm at comparatively is pretty shitty too.
Yeah.
And so it's this game that allows everything to just stay the same.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
who is expressing any support for this person who's saying they're going to commit suicide? Who is actually like, okay, you know what, this is a problem, we need to change things in this world.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no, this person just needs me to say that I'm there for them, and then they won't kill themselves. How did that solve their problem?
Yeah.
And also, it's not addressing the actual starting point of why they're saying it. Again, you could say the same thing and say like, I'm feeling really bad and I would like to be able to talk to some people and sort this out. That's not what the person said. And so the punchline of all of it is like, I made that little comment, and I don't know, probably somebody reported it, but Facebook, I was trying to like check my messenger because I knew somebody had messaged me and I was trying to respond to him. So I went to my messenger and it was like, you have to put your password in. And I was like, the fuck? So I had to go look up my password and all that. And then it made me like log into the website. And then it was like, immediately presented me with like, this has been removed. So it was like, it wanted me, before I could use my messenger, I had to go, because I haven't changed my password.
Right.
It wanted me, I couldn't use my messenger anymore until I go address this point in Facebook. I could see that's what was going on.
Yeah.
Because it was like the next thing, right? So anyways, they was like removed for violating the terms of whatever. I don't know.
Community guidelines.
Community guidelines, right? But then I checked and that person's post is still up.
Right.
So they're allowed to say, I'm thinking about killing myself, and I hope all of you are happy about it. But you're allowed to say that, which is actually hateful to other people.
Yeah.
Whereas nothing I said was hateful.
Right.
It's just like posting a point showing like the actual reality of what's being done here and actually to support other people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fascinating because to me, what was said in that blog post is common sense. But you're not allowed to question somebody. You're only allowed to affirm what they're already feeling and thinking.
Right.
Because that, at the end of the day, the fundamental point of that is it doesn't change anything. And that's the key point within everything. It's like, does it change anything or not? And see, from my perspective, when I see that and I'm commenting, my comment is to support people to see that something needs to change. Things need to change. The system needs to change. Do you have that quote, Drake? We talked about the other day, like in some group context. Maybe it was, remember that when we talked about on Friday?
Mhm.
Maybe it's on here.
Oh, I know the quote you're talking about.
Can you read that one?
I think it was on Thursday, actually, we talked about it. All right. The Lao Tzu quote.
There it is. Yeah. No.
Oh.
I commit myself to show that those that do understand the problem of inequality will understand that a complete system change is necessary, and that such a mission requires funding to re-educate the many lost in fear. And as such, a person will first act in what they contribute to re-education, while they re-educate themselves as well, and then will become a teacher to assist with the re-education, till we have a human race again that cares about life equally within all. Right? So it always comes back to that point, is like a complete system change, and then you have to educate yourself. So going to the point of solutions for this person is like, the real solution for them, and if they were searching, they'd find it. They would find it. is taking full self-responsibility for everything going on in here. And at first it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I know it can be done. Like I know you can start and you can start moving yourself within it.
100%.
And because I've been there at the like worst part. Right. I mean, I've been overweight. I've been feeling depressed, all that stuff. Like, and I wasn't losing my eyesight, but I mean, I just didn't let it get that bad.
Yeah.
It probably could have gotten that bad. I mean, I can't, if I'm like doing no exercise and eating canes every night, Raising Canes, those chicken tenders, like that would be like a go-to meal or a Chipotle. It works when you're 20, but not when maybe not even when you're 20. But also then you look at the person who's not only not eating healthy, if you want to use that in quotes, they're also like participating in all. I mean, as a man, what have we been saying for a long time? What does a man need?
Sex
and
Food.
Yeah, but purpose, right?
Purpose, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and when we say money, but it's like purpose is the evolution of that, because you need money and you need that focus, but the evolution of that would be the highest possible way of purpose of creating money, right?
Right.
And then sex would be the highest possible, because what is sex? Sex is how you generate new life on Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a relationship, and then within that, your purpose, your relationship is about changing the system and educating yourself and your children in the most effective way possible. So you take the basic needs of sex and money, and then you take them to their highest level of expression, right? Which is the whole point, right? So if this guy started focusing on that, it's not going to immediately change his diabetes, but
right.
I've been in a probably very close to diabetic state before, if not completely, and you can do things to change that. So that's like actually pretty simple. Of course, the medical establishments, think about that. He went to a doctor, and instead of the doctor going, all right, let's get your diabetes under control. Because it wasn't even like the guy went blind. It was like he was going to go blind because they accepted that the diabetes was just what it is.
Yeah.
But you're not even allowed to say, you're not allowed to say that, no, you could fix that.
Right.
There's even a part within me where I'm like, I don't want to say too much of that but then it's like, who gives a shit? Like what? I mean, I'm not trying to give someone medical advice. I'm just saying like the obvious common sense of it.
Right? Yeah. It's interesting because like you got censored for that, right? And kind of the other point that I wanted to bring up was just like what we were talking about earlier in the week about Kanye getting censored for all the things that he's been saying, right? And basically got removed from Twitter. I think he got reinstated on Twitter now, right? Because Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Musk.
Yeah. But I don't think he's been reinstated yet.
No? I've been seeing some things that show that like he's not been like kicked off Twitter. Like he just hasn't been
permanently banned, maybe, or something. I don't know. Maybe.
I
saw something from Twitter this morning saying that they're not reinstating anybody who's been banned until they do some review or something. But I don't know if that applies to him in this particular case.
I think that was for Trump that they're doing that specifically.
Yeah, it might be some specific points, not, yeah.
That would make sense. And then because Elon and Trump, they've got some beef between them.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, Trump likes to say, I don't think Elon's all there. It's sad.
Yeah.
And then Elon's like, I was very hurt by those comments.
Yeah. Go credit Grimes.
Yeah. But it's interesting because what Kanye's saying or pointing out is really a whole bunch of interesting stuff. And there's so many different layers to it. I really enjoy like the controversy that Kanye creates sometimes.
Well, it's funny because people get stuck in like the truth of what he's saying instead of like, or like, is it true? Is it not true? And so forth. But like, what I look at is like it's like this, I don't know if hypocrisy is the right word, because when people say someone's a hypocrite, why do people say that?
People say that because they feel like they can't like you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
But it's like if I was the media, or let me take an example.
It's a way to discredit
Well,
somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you're discrediting somebody or calling out somebody on something that you've
Right,
done.
but I understand that, but it's like, but it never seems to make sense when people do it, because it's like when you say someone's a hypocrite, it's like you're saying it as if they believe they should be holding themselves to the standards that they're saying you should be held to. So it's like you're a hypocrite. Like, so like the pastor who is like having gay sex in like a public bathroom or something and saying to everybody that they should, be pure and like, whatever. And someone's like, oh, he's being hypocritical. And it's like, or maybe he was just saying all that shit to get your money. You know what I mean? So like, how is he being a hypocrite?
Yeah.
So I understand what the word means. It's just they're assuming that he's sincere within the point. So it's like with the media, it's like, oh, for example, so here's the point that I saw with the Kanye thing, right? He's being dumped by everybody because he's attacking Jewish people as a collective, right?
Mhm.
And that's something you're not allowed to do because it's hateful, it's anti-Semitic, it's all these things, right?
Mhm.
But and his whole point, which is interesting, because he hasn't said the point I'm going to say, or I've heard him say it. What he's saying, like, well, he's saying that group of people controls his group of people, which he identifies as Black.
Mhm.
So, and like he's saying that, like, okay, Jewish people control by and large the entertainment industry, and in the like, look at rap. You're allowed to sit there and say and talk about violence, drugs, all this kind of stuff that promotes things like that glorifies it, whatever, right? I'm
Yeah.
assuming you're allowed to.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk of murder and drugs, and it's
Prostituting, like all
yeah.
sorts of stuff.
Okay, so it's like, and he's basically saying that group of people is profiting off of that promotion of that,
Yeah.
and they're causing hurt to his
Yeah.
group. So he's like, why am I not allowed to say that? Right. So that's an interesting point. But then let's just go back over the last 2 years, 3 years. Okay. Because the way he's describing the way they're hurting the Black community is a very subtle thing.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Because you could, well, but the Black people are the ones rapping about it and they're just getting the opportunities. Like you saw that thing with Russell Simmons, right? And he was like, I mean, they've given us all these opportunities. So he was basically agreeing with Kanye that, yeah, it's like he wouldn't be in the positions he'd be in without that group.
Right.
But he sees it as a positive thing. They've helped us become the top entertainers, the top fashion, all these things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no reason to argue about that validity or not. But let's just look at the last 3 years and like in the media everywhere. It has become totally acceptable to just talk shit about white people.
Yeah.
And that's why all this started was Kanye did this shirt that said White Lives Matter.
Right.
And then he started talking about the Jewish point because somebody's like, we're not going to produce the shirts.
Yeah.
So from what he's explained, he was like, that was the last straw. I'm going to expose the point. Right. And then it's really fascinating looking at all these points, because what it comes down to in every case, even the people complaining about being white and all of the anti-white stuff, right? Because we talk about it, but I'm not complaining about it. It's just a point of showing the media manipulation of everybody based on groups. That's the thing that's interesting to me. It's not because I am afraid, like as a white person, I'm going to be a victim because of it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's because I'm pointing out the patterns. But imagine the person who's like, it's really hard to be a white person these days because the media is against you and all this stuff. And then it's like, that argument is a stupid argument, because it's like, well, I mean, isn't that literally what Black people have been saying?
Yeah.
So it's like an invalid argument.
It's so funny because it's like words mean nothing to people, you know, like
How so?
the whole point of like white lives matter, black lives matter, Jewish lives matter, you know, whatever you want to put on a shirt. It's all about like the feeling, but it's like nobody's actually taking into consideration, do their lives actually matter?
What if
Yeah.
you put white Jewish lives matter? Which one do you think would be more acceptable? White Jewish lives matter shirt or black Jewish lives matter shirt?
Definitely. Oh,
I think the Black Jewish.
that
More
would be,
acceptable?
I don't
Because
know,
Kanye's going
that's-
around saying like blacks are the original Jews and everyone's getting
Oh.
upset with him. That's what I'm saying.
I thought it was just
Yeah.
like the, you know, like what is that? Transsectionality or whatever. When you,
Oh,
like,
intersectionality.
intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah, intersectionality.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating too, because then it becomes the whole point of like, if you can identify as being a victim, it gives you power in the system. Do you see what I mean? And it was interesting watching, we were talking about this, that Lex Friedman thing, because in the Lex Friedman thing, I started watching the beginning of it. And it was like, okay, they're like obviously friends, it seemed like. I don't know, is that how you saw it, like in the beginning? Like,
It
okay, they're like they're
seemed like
friends,
he
and
was
that's
on
why
his
he's having him
side.
on there, because it's like,
Yeah.
cool, I'm gonna let you talk because no one else. And Kanye West was like, you know, oh, you know, this is the actual first, this is gonna be a real conversation. No one else will let me have a real conversation about it, right?
Right. Yeah.
But then as soon as he started getting into the points about actually talking about the stuff of what got him, quote, in trouble with the media and everything, Lex Friedman was pushing back of like, what was the pushback that he was giving him?
He was saying, don't just say a blanket statement of like it's all Jews. Just say, call out the individuals.
Right.
Call
But
out the
wouldn't they say that's targeted harassment and that's bullying?
Hmm.
What? No, I'm not being facetious.
I don't know.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they
Potentially.
get in trouble for
And
that
even if you
too.
called out the individual, wouldn't they say you're doing it because I'm Jewish?
Yeah.
For
Even
sure.
if you didn't say Jewish, if you said that, if you said, okay, fine, I'm going to call out the individuals, and then you called out every single individual and they were all Jewish, what was going to happen?
Oh, you're being anti-Semitic.
But that's like the double
Don't
Same
standard
thing was
of
going to happen.
that
Yeah.
particular victim card. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what makes it like kind of significant. It's like it doesn't matter. It's a double-edged sword. It's like it doesn't matter if you call it the individual or say the grouping. It's like you're gonna get in trouble regardless.
Right.
And
People
that's-
attacked Hillary Clinton because
Yeah.
she was shit, and then they were like, it's because she's a woman. So the art,
Right.
and so it was interesting seeing Lex Friedman, because he was just trying to control what Kanye was saying. That's all it was. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he was saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was trying to say, it's like this implied argument that if you say that, then it empowers other people who are angry to then do something hurtful. And it's like,
essentially,
oh yeah, I'm
implying-
sure the KKK was just waiting for the wink and the nod from Kanye West. Like, does that even logically make sense?
But I can see where he's going with it. It's just like, oh, if you with your powerful voice say this, then it'll make it acceptable for other people to say that, so they can find each other more easily because they're also agreeing with this.
But,
You know?
that's the logic, but that's
Yeah.
not the reality of why he's saying it.
Right.
Because he's saying it because he within himself identifies with the victim point.
Right. Of course.
That's the identification with the group, is through being the victim.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so really what he's saying is, don't say these things because it's making me have to then question my victim status. And instead of this guy Lex Friedman just going like, look, yeah, I'm like, in what form is he Jewish? I don't know. Like, is it an ethnic? Is it like, is he actually religious in that sense? I don't know in what way he identifies as it, but he could literally just be like, yeah, I don't care about that. Like, what is the actual problem that you see?
Yeah.
You know, and it's fascinating because I think part of the problem is, it's like, if you see a pattern, you're not allowed to talk about it when it challenges the point of somebody who's in a position. It's not even, this is the funny thing about it, is like, imagine you have a very powerful group, and I'm not just sitting here going like it's the Jews, like to think that would be like, again, participating in a form of victimhood by blaming, by saying it's this race that is the problem.
Right.
So it's not that I agree in principle with what Kanye's saying. It's in the logic of you're not allowed to say a group is doing something.
Yeah.
That's the issue that I see. It's like remove the religion, the race, all that stuff out of it.
Yeah.
And yet, if a group has power, you're not allowed to challenge it.
Right.
But if a group doesn't have power, or you want to turn someone against a group, you're allowed to do that. And it's funny because I'm even saying the word allowed. Who's allowing it?
Yeah.
There's no allowing.
Yeah.
It's just a game that's being played by the media to manipulate. That's all that's happening. It's no like, you're not allowed to talk about Jewish people. You're allowed to talk about white people. No, who's allowing it? You're allowed to do whatever you want. But who is then actually spreading this and then trying to control the conversation from not being about something else?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's groups that have power and they have money and resources and connections and relationships and so forth, and they don't want those things to change, and they want to grow that and continue that and maintain influence.
Right.
And it was funny listening to the Russell Simmons thing, because he was saying like, well, you know, what was he? It was like the Jews have always been really good to the Black community, is what he said, right?
Basically, he was basically saying.
But then he said the Jews are allowed to do, because he was like, it's not like they're in there trying to control the Blacks. It's just like that's where the opportunity was.
Yeah.
And that helped empower Black people.
Yeah.
And then he was like, they went into the areas that they were allowed to by the whites.
Right.
That was his thing. So it's like, okay, so let's not talk shit about this group, but the real people who control it is the WASPs. They're the real controllers. And Drake and I were joking, and I'm like, man, I thought David Icke was off the rails, man, talking about these reptilians, but apparently it's fucking WASPs. I don't know what's going on. Are they from another planet? Is it like mutated wasp? I don't know.
Did you not see the like African killer wasps in the beginning of 2020?
See, like Connie said, everyone's from Africa.
Yep. but no, it's
well, I just want to add this one point real quick. Like,
go ahead.
The group point. It's like, do you see how it's like everything's trying to isolate people into groups to argue about this group is the group and they're the group and all that? And so when we say like there's power in the group, people only look at the positive side.
Yeah.
And that's why we're always saying you have to be in this group, because this is the only group with actual principles that are best. Everyone has principles. It's just, what is the principle?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not in this group, guess what the system is going to do? Put you into a group.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be in that group, whether you identify with it or not. Do you see what I mean? And so like, let's imagine you're not in this group and you're not building relationships based on principle. Then you're just going to have friends with people who are not based on principle. So that's going to be your group, or it's going to be go to church, or it's going to be this, or the system is going to say you're white, you're Black, you're Jewish, you're this, you're that. And we're going to manipulate groups based on that. And there's a power in grouping things.
It's sort of like the sorting hat in Harry Potter, right? It's like you put on this hat, it's going to put you in a group. Right, the system is going to put you in a
tells
group.
them where they're gonna, which part they're gonna be in.
So you're gonna be part of the evil crew. You're gonna be part of the hero crew. You're gonna be part of the people that don't matter. All that stuff. That's how it goes, right, Christine?
Yeah, don't make fun of Hufflepuff.
See,
Hufflepuff.
Doesn't matter.
Hufflepuff.
Huffing and puffing. That's it.
Is Hufflepuff a Harry Potter thing?
Yeah, it's
Apparently.
like one of the houses in the school, the wizardry.
Oh, it's an actual name of a house. I didn't know that was
Yeah. And then there's like the
Hufflepuff.
intellectuals, Ravenclaw.
But see, you get sorted into these groups unless there's only one group where you can decide which group that you're in. There's only one group that you can decide in which group you're in, and that's this group. That's it. But it's outside of the sorting hat, essentially.
It's like, it doesn't matter if you're Black, white, Jewish. That's
it.
Else? That's the only groups we accept, right? Jewish, I got everything.
We don't accept Asians.
Well, Christine, you're not one of those things, though.
Latinx.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Latinx.
Okay, we accept Latinx. I prefer Latinx.
Yeah.
So dumb.
But yeah, it's interesting just seeing that whole thing play out, because it is really about, like, even with what is being exposed, it still comes down to it's this group against that group, you know, that it's still.
But I mean, what is being exposed? Like 25 years ago, I don't know what time, there was a time period where somebody could be like, oh yeah, this group controls that thing and this group controls that thing. Like perfect example. Okay. So you're not allowed. Okay. This is the interesting thing. Again, it's not about, I agree with the statement, although there's truth in it. It's about how does the mind work? Again, it's like another example, totally unrelated.
Mhm.
Imagine the person going, you think you can choose your gender. Right. That's insane. There's biological reality. You cannot just choose your sex, your gender, and so forth. Right.
Right.
And then also being Christian and believing that Jesus was born of a virgin.
Yes.
Like, how can you reconcile that? You can sit here and argue over here, biological reality. It's not about what you want it to be, make-believe fantasy, but then over here go, well, but also, I also believe fundamentally the nature of reality is that there's a God who you can't see him, and he had a son with a human. There was no actual physical father involved. Like, okay, so we're cool with just biological reality is not relevant because you can't explain that. Well, it's a mystery. So is transgender then.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. Like how can you be consistent within it, right?
Right.
So oh shit, now I forgot what was the point I was actually trying to make.
So here's what's being exposed. Here's what I wanted to say. Is that what's being exposed is that you're not able to point out patterns, obvious patterns. Right. And it's interesting.
Hold on. Here's the pattern I was going to say though. Okay, here's the point.
No, you're not allowed to point out.
No, I'm going to say a pattern.
No,
okay.
No patterns on this show. No patterns.
It's not okay. Think about it. Again, whether Kanye is right or wrong within his assessment is not the point.
Mm-hmm.
Are you allowed to say this group of people based on a race, religion, however you want to look at it, control some particular thing in a negative way?
No.
Are you allowed to do that?
No.
Who runs the mob?
The media.
No. Who runs the mob? The mafia.
Oh, that mob. I don't know which mob you're talking about.
The,
you know how many
the
mobs there are?
Godfather.
The Godfather.
Who runs it? Come on.
The Godfather. The Italians.
Oh,
wait. Mafia. There can be Russian mafia.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I understand that. But like everyone knows in Chicago or wherever it is, I don't know. Like
New
the
York.
Italian mafia
Chicago.
is the thing, and it's like, how is that any different than what Kanye's saying?
Right.
The difference is the mafia, I guess at some level is kind of like, but I guess they don't have the same level of control over media and so forth, but also they're probably just like, hey, it's cool. That gives us a reputation or something. I don't know. Like they don't have a problem with being seen that way. It's part of their whole thing. And
at the same time, it's like when you have a certain level of influence, it's like you're saying, they don't have that power necessarily to say, you can't say it's the Italians that run the mafia, except unless what they did was made it some sort of like a, like you're saying, because they see it as like a badge of like, yeah, the Italians run the mafia, right? Of course we run the mafia. But if it was something that was like denigrating, to say like you're an Italian
organizing crime and killing people, and
right, then Italians would be like, how dare you? No,
you'd be like,
that my people run mafia?
Pasta. They'd be like, oh, how dare you?
Pineapples go on pizza. How dare you say that about my pizza? I can't believe it. Anyway, that's the point though, is what I'm saying is like today, especially, they do not want what they're teaching the youth of today. Think about how intelligent, how much information you absorb as a young child. How like it's just automatic. You're not even considering the different pieces that go into it. You're just accepting all these patterns. You're recognizing them and you're like, okay, this is how we operate in this society. This is how we work, right? As a human being. The pattern that every child is being taught right now is you are not allowed to call out things that go against what the authority has said. And that's been the pattern
And
forever.
and that's what I was going to say about this whole point is like, maybe Kanye's totally wrong.
Yes.
Maybe his assessment is invalid, but it's not that you can't call out groups. That's clearly because they're saying it's because you're not allowed to be hateful and call out groups. That's clearly not true because the system itself has been doing that to white people for a long time now, for what long time, meaning just a few years, but as a very obvious point. So it clearly isn't that's the rule. The rule is what you're saying. That's not the narrative we're going with right now.
Right. Because it has
just like with the
do.
COVID thing. It's like right now
Exactly.
the narrative is it stops the spread. You get the vaccine. It doesn't go on past you. You don't get sick. Now the narrative is you need to get the 5th booster. And actually, did you see this thing with Biden recently?
No,
he says, happened? Oh man, I wish I had the clip. He was like, in summary, basically, he's like, it's just like the yearly flu shot. You just need to get a shot every year. Like he straight up is saying that now.
That's so crazy because
it's just like the flu. Like
a couple months ago, he was just saying it's over. The pandemic is over. Like, and now he's like, well, it's like the flu.
Maybe someone can find the podcast where years and years ago we were like, watch, it's gonna cut to the point where they're gonna be. It's just like the flu. You have to get a yearly booster shot, whatever you want to call it. And it's just, that's what it is. And that coincides with the point of them getting some kind of vote approval of it can go on the children's vaccine schedule, or that's what's going on right now. And then they're like, we're raising the price from like by 4.3 times of the shot. And then the government, the president is coming out selling, hey, you need to get this every year.
That would be like,
that's what's so important. Like, okay,
imagine if
who's
the
really getting go ahead.
Was like, hey, okay, everybody, I need you all to take this fentanyl every week because it's good for you. Like, I feel like you're making money off of this. I feel like you're selling me something, but no, just take it every week. Okay, guys.
Shit, we didn't even did we talk last time about that Dylan guy who's like dressed up like a girl and was on the podcast with, did we talk about that? We did.
I think we didn't. Oh
no.
Okay, well,
no, I'm pretty sure we did because I'm sure I made a joke about it. No, maybe I didn't.
Christine has some good points to say about that because
that's like old news now. Week. But I mean, but the reason I brought it up is because he was sitting down with President Joe Biden.
It was?
They had Joe Biden talking to this person.
To represent like females. It's like the same thing that they did with the Time magazine Woman of the Year and put fucking Bruce Jenner as Caitlyn Jenner as Woman of the Year.
It's just
such a funny thing. It's like the best woman we can find is a man. You know what I mean? Like how fucking patriarchal is that?
See, listen, men do everything better. Okay.
That's the point. It's like
anything you can do, I can do better.
Comes like you know that song?
Oh, no, it's like, okay, women, you think you can do anything we can do? All right, what we're gonna do is secretly invade your sports and show you every person we put in there that used to be a man is gonna kick your ass. Ha.
And they're not even like in the top 500.
Were you gonna bring up that Michael Jordan Mia Hamm commercial?
Oh yeah.
You remember that? Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Exactly. Anything you can do, I can do better.
It's like, really? Okay, show me your 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Show me your dunk.
It's really like, I mean, at that time, I think that was just men accepted that as a challenge from women. And then we just said, all right, fuck it. We'll show you. It'll take us a couple of years.
If you tell it, I saw somebody make this point of like, if you tell a group over and over something, then they'll start to live as that, meaning like men are going to be weak and all this stuff because we keep telling them that. I'm like, no, you've been telling men that they're superior this whole time. So that's what's being proven right now. It's going into all these women's sports and shit.
Yeah.
But what was the point we were going to, what were you going to bring up about it, Christine?
With the Dylan Mulvaney?
Yeah.
I don't know what specifically Drake was talking about, but it's just like I was looking at I actually went on TikTok to see this person's feed.
We keep saying person because we don't want to say one way or another, it's just safer to say person.
And no, it was
Citizen. You
fascinating
should say
because
citizen.
they've
Are you a
developed.
citizen? Are you
The
are you,
citizens.
are you a citizen? Can I ask that? Is that wrong? Is that
But
Dude,
anyways,
Citizen X.
wait.
Okay.
Weren't you making this point so long ago of like like this was when all this trans stuff was coming out and we started seeing all the stuff about the metaverse. You're making this point, and I think this was before you started reading this book, right? But you're making the point of like, oh, it's so that when you go into the metaverse, somebody can't ask you what your gender is. It'll be rude to ask what somebody's gender is, right? And then it's like that's a thing where it's like it's rude to ask if somebody is
Oh yeah.
A citizen.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Like if you're illegal or not, basically.
Exactly. It's super fascinating because that's definitely where we're heading. It's
I want to hear Christine's take on this whole.
yes.
so anyways, I was doing some research and I looked at this person's TikTok, and it's crazy actually the cult like following this person has been able to gather. And the whole reason why it went viral was because they started document like day one of girlhood, right? And it was like when they were deciding to transition and be a girl. And like that's how it got started to gain traction. And then it's interesting because it's like he's basically taking I'm still gonna call it a he because
It's a guy.
It's
a dude.
clearly a
It's a
fucking
guy. It's
but
like,
it's
it's not even really trying, but okay.
No, not at all. And it's
All
just
in
like
the most superficial ways. Yeah.
It's really it's pretty entertaining actually because
Well, I mean, if it was done as like this is just a creative artistic thing, it's
that's
brilliant.
what it seems like.
It's
That's
brilliant.
what it seems like. Okay, Christine, tell me what was this person doing before
okay,
they became?
I was
Yes,
I was
Oh,
just
that's
about to
what
get
I
to
guessed.
that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so this guy Dylan Mulvaney, he used to be in fucking Broadway and in musicals and stuff. He has an amazing voice, and it's funny because it's like it's clear. It's like just he's got like the archetype of like an actor. Like he's really good at fucking acting, and now you have him, doing this girlhood thing, and it's
Whoa, okay, hold
creepy,
on,
though,
hold on. Slow down, Alex Jones. Okay.
he's an actor.
What do they call it?
He's a crisis actor.
But it's like,
what they do,
first of all-
is they take these people, they go on Craigslist and they put up some sort of like you can act in this
Oh, is
That's
that what he
okay.
said? They went on Craigslist.
they go on Craigslist, right? And then
We need some parent actors for
they
a
put an
mass shooting
ad
next week.
for parent actors, right? And you don't even know what you're doing, but then you're holding these signs and all this. That's my Alex Jones.
yeah. Anyways,
It's decent.
so it's interesting that it's a grown man acting like a girl, which is kind of perverted and pedophilic.
Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing if at some point he comes out and is like, I was acting.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is all fake.
Yeah.
But what do you know is going to happen immediately if that were to happen?
He would be banned.
It would be like total suppression. He's a right-wing,
Yes.
blah, 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 dangerous person. Like that guy would be done for. You would not be allowed to do that and fucking.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm not saying you're saying this, but I don't think how can I put it? I think the guy is acting, but I also think he is what he's acting as, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just really he's just really good at putting on the character as compared
Meaning
to like
he's
some
like,
other
I am
trans
this character now.
people.
This is who I am. He
Right.
believes it's who he is, but also versus like some random person who's like, oh, I want to just be a girl now, and then like they kind of just like put on a dress, and like they still have like facial hair, like they're not even trying. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not as creative as this person is. He's a creative person who,
he interviewed somebody who had a beard who was
That was
like,
the Ulta beauty thing, right?
yeah, I know. He's probably sitting there
talking
like,
about?
this guy's not even trying.
Why do I have to act with these amateurs? What the fuck?
Like, you're making this look like some kind of freak show here.
But
It literally
it's
looks
so-
like the fucking like bearded lady.
Yes.
At the weird, it's like
At the
what is
circus.
this?
Yeah.
It's like the same
But the
person
dude was
that
like also kind of muscular.
right.
He
Yeah.
looks kind of muscular. Like he looks like some kind of guy who works out, but he just put on like a blouse and like
He
some
looks like a
kind
kind of
bell-bottom
Hispanic
jeans and-
Jesus.
Do you remember the guy
Yeah.
that Matt Walsh debated on? Was it Dr.
It was that
Phil?
guy, wasn't it?
No,
No,
it wasn't.
it's
It was
not
a
that guy.
different. It was a different
totally
guy.
different
It was a different guy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, this
But it
guy's
was the
like a-
same thing. It was like a bearded guy, like with long hair, like it's like, and then wearing like feminine clothes. So, but anyways, it's just funny because it's like they're taking. It's like he's mocking puberty and like going through the phases of
Yeah.
becoming a woman, which
Did
is
you
kind
see
of like the
that video?
disturbing part.
You see
Which
the one where
video?
he's like out in the woods and
Yeah,
he's
with
like
high heels on?
frolicking and stuff. And it's like, oh, a bug, like doing like that sort of character,
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's like the
it's
character.
mocking, yeah.
Yeah, and like the character, what is it? Like the caricature of a woman, like all
Yeah.
taking all the like and hyper, like making them like hyper like expressioned almost. That's not even a word, but like just over exaggerating.
Hyper feminized.
Yeah, that
I
and
mean,
that's
he
ba-
like
and that's
thinks he
basically what
looks,
drag
he
is
thinks he's
too.
acting like a girl, but it just looks like a gay dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does. He does just.
That's
look like
kind
a-
of all it seems like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just a really flamboyant type,
and he's getting laser to like get his beard removed, like he's doing all the things to become more feminine. But yeah, then he ended up getting that Ulta beauty thing, and people like were like, I know feminists and stuff have been like,
Isn't it
talking
weird?
up
If you have
against it.
long hair right here, you're feminine. But if you have long hair right here, you're masculine. It's just a matter of a few inches. And it's like, isn't that weird? But if you go too low and you have it here, no. Okay. Now let's pick it back up here. Yes. It's like, I guess it's the same for men, whatever. Very weird. Hair on
Yeah.
that part, but not on that part.
Anyways, I don't know of anything further past like the bite. I know he got interviewed or met the president. I don't know what came of that or what was the purpose of
It was
that.
like
I'm
one of
assuming
those
it was for
town hall
votes.
things. And then no, but it was a town hall thing type setting. And then the question was about it was about gender affirming care for children and why people want to take that away. And Biden was basically like, yeah, that shouldn't be something that you should be able to take away from people. Like, I don't agree that like we should he kind of like just said some nonsense in a way. Like it wasn't like a very clear direct point, but the essence of it was just I know
you're
totally
you're
unexpected.
expecting
It's
some
very
clarity
ironic.
from this president.
But my point being, it wasn't like a clear direct point, right? It was just like, yeah, I agree that you should be able to take that from people.
Yeah, it's crazy because bringing up Biden, like he also exposes that point of, okay, this is obvious here that he's not running things. So, I mean, why can't we talk about this? Why can't we like point this out? And then just one more point on that girlhood guy, he was also has a picture. I don't know if this is from the past or what, but a picture
Well, it can
with
be from the future.
good point. Good point. With Ellen Page or Elliot
boy.
Page. But was it when she was Ellen or what?
It was when she was Ellen, but she was
always
like
Elliot.
transitioning.
Okay, so
Are we allowed to say he transitioned?
I don't know.
Or is it no? The past is now erased. It's like literally 1984. Like
Do you know what I
see,
just
literally.
thought of? Do you know how like it's just hilarious because you're saying that, but then it's all the conspiracies about like all the trans people in Hollywood, and not just Hollywood, but like even like higher ups, like Michelle Obama. It's like all these conspiracies have now been a
Now
thing.
that doesn't seem crazy.
Right? Exactly.
I just don't understand why she's so ashamed about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty insane. Like, man, all the
Yeah,
craziness.
that actually is pretty funny. That's a conspiracy theory. That should be transphobic to say it's a conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
technically,
yeah.
because then you're saying it's so ridiculous and like such a. Why would you claim that about her? It's like, what's the big deal?
Yeah, I
why
mean, like,
would it be a problem if she was like maybe
trans
she
is
just didn't wanna-
empowering.
Maybe
Come
she
on.
had to hide it because people wouldn't have accepted her, and then Obama, couldn't be openly gay because people wouldn't have accepted it. I mean, we weren't ready for that. We were ready for a black guy as president, but not a gay dude.
Yeah.
So
Come
yeah.
Baby
on,
steps,
I'm
baby
trying to
steps, Cameron.
empower the people. Okay. Like
Baby
you think-
steps all the way to the minor maturity euthanasia.
it's also interesting, like there was a point there with the headlines from the British media with the trans thing of like how they're transitioning.
They're trying to like walk it back now.
They're transitioning out of allowing young children to transition. Yes.
Yeah.
That is interesting because
they're saying that basically it's like a phase for a lot of kids. It's a transitory phase.
It's transitory. I really like that article. I thought that was pretty funny. Just the way that they had framed it. But I think it was that video, because those are the same people that they were breaking all the news with the Ukraine stuff, right? And the woman, they were saying to her, somebody had commented, and I guess it was a super chat. And I guess the rule with super chats is you have to say whatever's in the chat in order to accept the money. I don't know.
Yeah. Like you have to read it out or something. Yeah.
I don't know if that's that is a rule or
I think
that's
it's
like
just
understood. Yeah.
Custom.
So anyway,
how would they know?
it's pretty hilarious though. It's pretty hilarious because you can just say whatever the fuck you want and super chat it and just like, I hate you, you're a dumbass. And that's essentially what this comment was, is just like
this person shouting out, giving us some love.
I'm giving you money.
Yeah.
Like, cool, I'll tell you whatever you want to say.
That's gonna be our super chats for sure. But anyway,
why would people give us money?
I don't know.
Why would people give
No,
money
hold
for
on.
hate?
I'll just read the chats. You don't have to give us money. Just give a comment. I'll read it. It's fine. In fact, if you're watching this right now in the group, just you post it. Christine will post it. I'll read it. You can make me say whatever you want. All right. What were we talking about?
Yeah, the chat was basically that she's got an anti-trans bent.
Who does?
I don't know. The woman who was reporting on this.
Oh, okay.
Right. On basically how they're walking back the trans thing. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I just found that really funny because she was then defending herself. She was like, I'm not anti-trans,
I'm anti-trans.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like,
why did you just say it? Like,
I am.
What? Oh, you actually? Well, I do believe trans people exist. Like, who? Seriously, like, well, but this one person, like whoever's successful with it, I'm like, they just fully accepted the point and they were embraced by people. That doesn't mean they're actually trans. Like, they're still a man pretending to be a woman, or a woman pretending to be a man. What else is there? Like,
well, how there's the argument of like the reason why there's like an uptick of just gays, lesbians, all that kind of stuff. It's because it's socially acceptable now to come out as those things, right? These people were all just in hiding before because it wasn't socially acceptable. Well, they're using the same argument for trans people as well. But it's interesting because there's this group called Gays Against Groomers. It's like an activist group of gays that are like, stop, impulsing children with this trans stuff. Right. It doesn't make any sense. And they were saying, like, if that was true, what they're saying of like, it's just more socially acceptable to be trans, then why isn't there an uptick in adult transitioners? Like people who are gay in their late, probably over 30 who are transitioning. It's like clear. It's like, no, but there's an obvious
but they're also making that argument and it sounds reasonable and people just accept it. Like, oh, that's why. And I'm like, that'd be like saying, oh, the reason why so many more people can read now is because literacy is more acceptable. And so all those people who could read before but didn't want to show it, they just now, it's an environment where it's acceptable to be literate. And therefore more people can read than could, like, in the 1200s or whatever.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Or like more people are Christian because it's acceptable to be Christian now. And they were always Christian. It's like, oh yeah, no one like indoctrinated them into it. No one like influence them. There's no epigenetics. There's no fucking water supply with fucking estrogen and shit in it and weird chemicals that's altering people's fucking like hormones. There's no people being abusive. Like, and even if it's true, that doesn't prove that it's like, how many serial killers are there? How many people would want to be serial killers if they were allowed to be?
Oh, geez.
Probably more than would otherwise do it if there was no fear whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
And so if we had a society that more embraced it, there'd be more, right?
Yeah.
What does that prove? Does that prove that it makes sense?
Yeah.
Does that prove that it's valid and that should be accepted? Like, how does that? Because the idea is that who you are is who you are, and you just have to accept it.
Yeah. Is that
Well,
that point?
but you can't say that and then say you shouldn't be racist. You shouldn't be this. You can't. And this is the whole point I was saying about the Kanye thing is like, it's not relevant whether he's right or wrong. The point is, if we're going to say he's not allowed to target groups and say they're in power and they control things and that's a negative thing, then you shouldn't be able to do it at all. There's no consistency there. And
Right.
that's why I was brought up the whole point about hypocrisy, because I'm not going to call it hypocritical because I know why it's being done. It's not like oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. It's like, no, it's a game. They're deliberately doing it. And the other point about Kanye, just going back to that, is it proves to you again why you can't just get rich and then change things.
Yeah.
What's he going to change? What is his solution?
Yeah.
Like, think about it. He brags about, and I'm not against him. It's just he sees it as a point of value that he's one of the top fashion people or whatever that means, right?
Right.
What value is there in fucking fashion?
None.
Like, if Max needs some new fucking shirt, I just go to Walmart and get a new shirt. Do you know what I mean? Like, who cares about fashion? Max doesn't care. He'll be wearing like black and white camo pattern shirt with like a neon orange pants or whatever and like two mismatching socks. Like, look at me. Like, who cares about fashion?
Also, like how much of
Why is it
that was
relevant?
actually, well, how much was that was actually influenced by him being a really successful music artist and people just kind of buying into the franchise of Kanye of like, oh, now he's making clothes and shoes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, was it actually like talented? Like, to what degree was it actually because he was just a talented person after he had already made it the music? Do you know what I mean?
I saw this interesting take by Andrew Schultz, that comedian, right? And
Yeah.
he was saying, like, he was on Joe Rogan at some point. He was saying that Kanye is just so insecure that he always wanted to be cool. And so he's always trying to prove that he can make things cool that aren't cool. And so he was like, back it was like, whatever hip hop was like, like the baggy pants or I don't know, whatever it was, right? And then Kanye was like, we're going to wear polo shirts and like khaki pants and stuff like that. And he's like, watch, my people will think that's cool because I say it's cool. And then it was cool. And then it was like, now we're going to do this or this thing or like dad shoes, dad sneakers. And now we're going to make that cool. Watch, I'll get him to wear that. And then he's like, now I'm going to support Trump. And then he was like, and then these people were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. It's like, and there's a certain validity, I think, to what he's saying, but at the same time,
yeah,
like the moment he actually starts saying anything for real, like, okay, you know what's not cool? Not having abortions.
Yeah.
Let's make not having abortions cool. And everyone's like, the system's like, no. That's actually something we need to be cool.
Right.
Sneakers, I don't care. You want to wear Hilfiger, fine. I don't care. Abortions, we need those. So now he's starting to touch on things that actually sort of in some way get people thinking differently about how things are structured. As long as you're buying some clothes or shoes, we don't care. That's the attitude of the system.
Yeah.
But if you start having people question things and not listen to the mainstream and go somewhere else, because Kanye's doing a lot of stuff like in churches, I saw this thing with Dame Dash and he was making this point of like the business person of Kanye. It seems like he's getting cut off at every left and right and everything, but he's going to churches and selling merchandise and shirts and things like that with no middleman. So he's like, it's actually a genius business point, right? So he's getting all the people who don't agree with certain things to actually support him, right?
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it.
Wow. Kanye has not come to my church yet. A lot of you have not come to my church yet. And I'm just, quite frankly, like a little disappointed in you, just, you can make it down here every other Saturday. We just had one yesterday. We call it a clubhouse, but I mean, it's still church. So
should just call it a church.
Yeah.
The Church of
Drake. No.
Drakewood.
Drakewood. Hey, it's not bad.
Like Lakewood.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be big. We're going to be really big at some point. And,
yes.
You're going to want to be one of the people who are just like a part of it in the very beginning. It's yesterday we had a really great discussion. We had some a new new girl come by, and she was really like,
Was it
She-
Dylan?
what's that?
Was it Dylan?
Well,
A girl?
Dylan Mulvaney.
you know, it's funny. It's funny because we have a
Not the other
Dylan that
Dylan,
lives
I
here.
know,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that
yeah,
Dylan.
okay. Not that Dylan, not that Dylan. But no, she was actually pretty cool. And it was funny because at the end of our discussion, like we kind of go around and just like, hey, share some point of value that you got out of this, right? Or share some value. And what she wanted to share was, you know, I want to share this because I think it's important to when you're a part of, well, basically she said, I'm very self-centered, right? And it like kind of took me by surprise. I was like, what? And she's like, I want to share this because I think it's important to be vulnerable when you find a group that you really like and you want to be a part of it and you want to start on the right foot. And so I just wanted to share that point. It's really hard for me to share that. It was just like, whoa, okay, that's really cool. Because to be honest, we were talking about some controversial stuff, to be honest, to be direct. We were talking about some controversial stuff that was just like, I wasn't sure how she's going to take it at all. And, you know, the responses that she gave were well spoken, but it wasn't made clear what side of the line she was on. You know what I mean? And so it was cool because at the end, she's just like, I really like this group. I'm just going to be vulnerable. I'm just going to like share. You're talking about changing things because I was saying something about changing patterns within your life that you keep seeing happen over and over and over again. You want them to change, but for some reason they're not, or they keep reoccurring. How do you actually do that? And she's like, this is the thing that I want to change. And so it's cool because what that tells me is people are coming to these clubhouses that we have here in Orlando or in Minneapolis or in Houston or, you know, or in Ottawa or all the different clubhouses that we have. And they're seeing, oh, this is actually, I can change versus going to like, you know, church and like just feeling good. And like, you know, I just need to feel good on the weekends. And
well, also when you go to church,
Mhm.
like, what are you learning?
Man, what do you learn at church?
Like,
You
it's
learn
not
about-
challenging you at all. No one goes to church and goes, oh, I should be a good person. Like, it's just saying stuff you already agree with.
It's platitudes.
So you're not there to actually learn anything and change anything. You're there, like you just said, just to feel good. It's literally just a person who's been programmed with that vocabulary feels comfortable in that environment versus going to a rave. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a different, you're just there to feel good. People are not honest about that. They're there to relieve guilt and feeling bad and like all of that frustration and anxiety and stress and all that stuff. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Showing their
You know, and that's-
devotion.
Right. And it's not, yeah, exactly. To show your allegiance to your master.
Also, you get to have fun at our clubhouses as well. Yesterday we had like some chicken sausages that we made here, and they were delicious, and we had a great time.
You guys are making sourdough too, right?
We are making sourdough.
It's not ready yet. It's not ready yet to make bread, but yes.
You're just doing the
Yes.
starter thing.
Yeah. I started from scratch.
That's really cool. And you and Jess are doing it. Who else is doing it?
Maylat's doing it.
Mila's doing it.
Yeah, she's got
Katie.
hers just rose today. But yeah, and obviously Katie, your wife.
Katie made brioche last
Wendy,
night.
Melissa.
Nice. Dude,
Oh, like a bunch of people.
Christine
Yeah.
made some brioche last week.
Quit being quit dramatizing.
Dramatizing.
I was like, wait, what was the word?
I got you. No worries. But no, Christine made some brioche. She made some brioche last
Shut up,
week.
brioche. Shut
Oh
up,
my
brioche.
gosh, that brioche she made was delicious.
Just call it
No.
brioche. Brioche.
Brioche, like I'm Snoop Dogg.
What's up, brioche?
uh,
That should be a shirt.
yeah, look at that nice brioche. Yes, that brioche is very good. Next,
What if you made some loafers, like you put shoe size and you put your feet in them,
Uh-huh.
right? And you call them yeasties.
Maybe that's what I should call my sourdough.
They're like
starter.
kind of like the new slides.
Yeah. Christine was like, oh, what should I call this sourdough starter? Because you know, like people.
I was
name
trying
their
to name
sourdough.
it.
Do they?
Yeah. And so she's like, what should I call it? And she's like, what about Yeasty Boy? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a great one. And then she goes like a minute later, she's like, oh, kind of like the Beastie Boys. I was like, you mean that wasn't your intention the entire time? She was like, no, I just thought it was a great name.
I thought of it after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
I'm open to yeasties. That's cool. I like that one.
But then you could just shorten it to ye.
He.
Yee. It's pretty
I'm
funny.
pretty sure it's pronounced yeah.
Whenever you need to rebrand,
Oh.
just make it ye.
But that I'll ask you about it later, because like just that point of like artists rebranding themselves, and they literally just changed their name, but then they can still make money outside of their contract. That's interesting. I don't know how that works. That when I changed my name, you know, I still have to pay for my house. they don't go, oh well, he's a different person now, you know.
Yeah, like it seems like these artists would understand the transitioning the most. Like I just changed my name and like I'm a whole different person. Like, well, is that how it works?
Yeah.
All right. Shall we
Let's end
call
it.
it a day?
Let's end it. Listen, hey, if you made it this far,
Don't even fucking do an outro. Just be
Made
like,
it
all
this
right, see you
far?
next time. You made it this fart.
you made it this far. See you next time. That's it. That's it.
Fart you later.
Bye, guys.